We have been working on solving systems of equations, and the way we've been doing it is getting our systems into the y== format and using the calculator to find the intersection. Today what we're going to discuss is two other ways that you could solve systems of equations. Now probably 90% of the time or more you will be using the calculator, getting them into y= and using the calculator, but I want to show you these other two ways because occasionally you may find it faster to either use substitution or elimination. And also when you get into geometry and algebra 2, they are going to talk about these two different methods as well, so I want you to have some understanding of what's going on with them. Okay, so we're going to start out with substitution, and really the first question I have for you is think about the word substitution. Substitute teacher is someone that comes in and takes my place when I'm not here. Or you could go to a restaurant and maybe substitute French fries for mashed potatoes. And what that means is they would take the mashed potatoes off the plate, they wouldn't be there, and they would put the French fries on. So when you're substituting, only one of the items is there, the other one is not there. So let's look at this very first equation. Okay, and on this first equation, we're going to use substitution. So what we're going to be doing is substituting out what we know y is into our second equation. So let's look at this. This first equation, let me make this a little bigger. Our first equation tells us exactly what y equals. It says that y equals -2x minus 9. So what we're going to do is in our second equation, instead of the letter y, we are going to substitute in what we know y is going to be. So we're going to take out the y that's in the red parentheses and put in that -2x minus 9 instead. So let's just rewrite this. We're going to rewrite it as 6x minus 5, but instead of the y, we're just going to put parentheses because that's the thing that we're substituting, equals -19. So we've just taken that equation and we've put the parentheses where we're going to do our substitution. All right, so let's just move over, continue on down and substitute in. So 6x minus 5, and what we're putting in our parentheses is this -2x minus 9. So -2x minus 9. So that fills in our parentheses, and then we just finish equals -19. Okay, so now we're just going to go ahead and get this solved down. So the very first thing we've got to do, remembering our solving, is we're going to have to distribute. We're going to have to distribute this -5 times each guy inside my parentheses. So let's bring down our 6x. Then we have -5 times -2x is positive 10x. And then again, -5 times -9 is plus or positive 45 equals -19. Okay, now we're solving this for x, so we've got to combine our like terms. We have a positive 6x and a positive 10x that are alike. So that's going to be 16x plus 45 equals -19. Okay, we're solving this for x. I'm going to go ahead and draw my line down the middle and circle what I'm solving for. I'm solving for x. I want that to stay, so I'm going to minus 45 on both sides. Let's just bring all this down. I got 16x equals -64. And then my final step is to divide both sides by 16. So I have x equals -4. Okay, so what I now know is part of my solution. I now know that x equals -4. So now I'm going to take that and I'm going to plug this information back in to my equation. Now I'm going to plug it into my top equation because what I don't know is y. So y is the thing that I want to find out. Okay, so let's just write it. We got y equals -2, but instead of x, I'm going to substitute what I know x is. So I'm just going to put my parentheses, -9. Okay, so y equals -2. And what am I going to put in my parentheses? I'm going to put this -4 that I've just figured out x equals -9. Okay, so -2 times -4 is 8, positive 8. So positive 8 minus 9, y equals 8 minus 9. So y equals -1. So my solution to this whole thing is x is -4 and y is -1. Okay, so that's the substitution method. And the reason I chose to do the substitution method is I already have one of my equations solved for y equals. Now you could be looking at this and going, yeah, but you know what? I would solve the other one real quick with the parentheses for y equals and use the calculator. Yep, I understand that. Sometimes, though, it may be more like equation number 2. And if you can remember from the classwork, we sometimes struggled with equation number 2 when we had the x on the left side and the y on the right side. So maybe you would see substitution easier. So what we've been given in this one, example number 2, is we've been told that x equals 6y minus 7. So that's what x equals. So I'm going to take equation 2 and I'm going to rewrite it, but I want to substitute the x because the x is the value I know. So I'm going to just say 4. And instead of an x, I'm going to put the parentheses because that's what's going to have to go in my parentheses. Plus y equals -3. So if I rewrite this, I've got 4. And then what am I putting in my parentheses? Well, I'm going to put in this 6y minus 7. So 6y minus 7. So that fills up my parentheses. Plus y equals -3. Now I have to go through my solving. So I've got to start by distributing. I'm going to distribute my 4 times both guys in the parentheses. So that gives me 24y minus 28 plus y equals -3. I'm solving for y, so I got to get my terms combined. So I have 24y plus y, that's 25y, minus 28 equals -3. I'm solving for y. So he's the guy that's got to be alone, so I'm going to add 28 to both sides. When I bring this down, I've got 25y equals 25. Divide both sides by 25. And I've got, I'm going to put it up here, I've got y equals 1. So now I'm going to take that information, y equals 1, and I'm going to plug it back into this top equation. So I've got x equals 6, but I'm going to take out my y, so I'm just going to put parentheses there. So 6y minus 7. So x equals 6. What I'm putting in my parentheses is 1, because that's what y equals, minus 7. So x equals 6 minus 7. X equals -1. So my answer to this is -1, -1, comma, +1. That's my solution. Okay, so if we go ahead to the second one, let's talk about how we would solve a system of equation using elimination. Again, let's think about the word elimination. Elimination is when you remove something. Uh, Things are eliminated, like if you're in a sports competition, the losing team is eliminated from a tournament. So elimination is just when you can remove something. So let's see how that works. If we go ahead and look at this first section, and really the time you would use elimination is if you can take your two equations, they're sitting on top of each other, and if you see that you've got a positive and a negative, something that immediately will cancel out or zero out, that's when elimination is pretty easy to use. Okay, so here I've got positive x and a minus x. So I'm just going to add these two equations straight down below. So plus x minus x, those guys cancel out immediately. That leaves me with 3y plus 2y is 5y. I'm just adding this whole thing together. And 17 plus 8 is 25. Now I just have to solve this for y. So I'm going to draw my line down the middle and divide both sides by 5. And I know very quickly that y equals 5. Now I have to use that substitution method. I have to plug back in to one of my equations this information that I have, that y equals 5. So I'm going to just, it doesn't really matter, but I'm going to plug it back into this top equation. So I'm going to say x plus 3, but instead of y, I'm going to put parentheses because I'm going to substitute that in, equals 17. So x plus 3, and my y is 5, equals 17. So x plus 15 equals 17. Let's just rewrite that up here. X plus 15 equals 17. Okay, and I'm solving for x. So minus 15 on both sides. And x equals 2. So my solution is 2, 5. Okay, pause your video and do the others on your own, and then start the video to check your answers. And if you have any other questions, come to tutoring.